My heart hammered against my ribs as I stood in the grand living room of my parents' house in Beverly Hills, the scent of my mother's favorite jasmine incense filling the air. The family had gathered for what they called the final blessing dinner the night before my wedding to David Tran, the son of my father's business partner, a man I respected, but could never love. Suddenly the doorbell echoed like a gunshot, and when the maid opened the door, Andrea stepped in, her eyes locked on mine, a folder clutched in her hand. And she said, "Simone, this ends tonight. You are marrying me, not him. And here is the proof we filed months ago." Chaos erupted immediately. My mother dropped her teacup, shattering on the marble floor. My father rose from his chair, face turning red with fury, while my aunts and uncles froze mid-conversation, staring at Andrea as if she were a ghost from some forbidden past. I felt the room spin, the weight of every expectation I had carried for years crashing down on me all at once. The arranged marriage, the family legacy, the whispers in our tight-knit Vietnamese-American community about how I needed to settle down and stop being selfish. Andrea stood tall in her simple black dress, her dark hair falling in waves over her shoulders, the same woman who had held me through countless nights of doubt and fear, now facing my entire world without flinching. I had met her 4 years earlier at a charity gala for immigrant rights where she was photographing the event, and I was there as a young lawyer fresh out of law school volunteering my time. Our first conversation had been about justice and hidden identities. She had shared how she came out to her own family years ago and lost half of them in the process. I had listened, mesmerized by her courage while hiding my own truth behind polite smiles and career talk. We started meeting in secret coffee shops, parks, late night drives along the Pacific Coast Highway, where we could be ourselves without the constant pressure of family eyes. She made me laugh in ways no one else could, challenge me to question the path my parents had laid out since I was a child, the one where success meant marrying well, producing grandchildren, and never rocking the boat of cultural expectations. But as the months turned into years, the pressure mounted, my father reminding me daily how the merger with the Tran family would secure the law firm he built from nothing after fleeing Vietnam in the 70s, my mother gently but firmly pointing out how at 28, I was already past the age when good girls found husbands, how her friends asked why I was still single. I had tried to end things with Andrea twice, each time swearing it was for the best, each time crawling back, because the thought of a life without her felt like drowning. Last month, in a moment of reckless hope, we had driven to a small courthouse in a neighboring county, filed the paperwork for a civil marriage license, kept it hidden in her apartment, like a fragile secret that could either save us or destroy everything. I never thought she would use it like this, never imagined she would walk into this house uninvited on the eve of my wedding day. Now here she was holding the folder out like a shield, my cousin Lon whispering loudly to my aunt about disgrace, my uncle muttering about bringing shame on the family name. My mother clutched her chest, tears already streaming down her face. "Simone, what is this? What have you done? This is not how we raised you. David is waiting for you tomorrow. The whole community is coming." My father stepped forward, his voice low and dangerous. "Andrea, whoever you are, get out of my house before I call the police. This is a family matter, not some game." Andrea did not back down. She looked straight at me, her voice steady, but full of the love we had built in the shadows. "Simone, I love you more than anything. And I know you love me too. We promised each other we would not live a lie anymore. You do not have to do this to please them. The price is too high." I opened my mouth, but no words came, the internal storm raging so violently I could barely breathe. Part of me wanted to run to her, take the papers, and leave everything behind. The other part saw my father's face, the man who had sacrificed everything for us, saw my mother's fragile health after her cancer battle 2 years ago, heard the echo of all the sacrifices they had made so I could have this life. The room filled with overlapping voices, accusations flying like arrows. My sister Mai, who had always suspected something, glaring at me with betrayal in her eyes. "How could you hide this from us, Simone? We are blood." Andrea turned to them all, her tone calm but fierce. "I am not here to hurt anyone. But I will not let Simone sacrifice her happiness for a marriage that will leave her empty inside. We have been together for years. We built a life in secret because we knew this would happen, but love like ours deserves to be seen." My knees felt weak. I gripped the edge of the dining table, the same table where I had sat through countless family dinners, pretending everything was fine, pretending I was the perfect daughter, the one who would carry on the legacy. The clock on the mantel ticked loudly, marking the seconds until my world split in two. And I realized in that moment that no matter what I chose tonight, someone I loved would pay a terrible price. The confrontation had only just begun, but already the air felt thick with the kind of pain that lingers for years, the kind that forces you to look at every choice you ever made and wonder if any of them were truly yours. My father's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Simone, you will explain this right now in front of everyone, or so help me. I looked at Andrea, her eyes pleading with me to finally speak the truth we had buried for so long. And I felt the years of secrecy unraveling thread by thread. The family had moved to the formal sitting area, my aunts fanning themselves with napkins, my uncles pacing the room like caged animals, the weight of their judgment pressing down on me, until I could hardly stand. I started with the beginning because there was no other way to make them understand the night I met Andrea at that gala, how her laugh had cut through the polite conversations like fresh air, how we had talked for hours about dreams and fears, about being women who loved women in a world that still whispered behind closed doors. My mother interrupted, her voice breaking. Simone, we sent you to the best schools, we gave you everything, so you could have stability, not this confusion. David loves you, he will take care of you, his family is respectable, they understand our ways. But I kept going, describing the stolen weekends in Big Sur where Andrea and I hiked trails hand in hand, talking about the future we wanted, one where we did not have to hide, one where marriage meant choosing each other openly. The arranged marriage had been discussed for years, my father explaining how the Tran Alliance would expand the firm into new markets, how it was not just business, but survival for the family name after everything we had lost coming to America. I had agreed at first, numb from the constant pressure, believing maybe I could learn to love David, maybe the feelings for Andrea would fade if I tried hard enough. But they never did. Instead, they grew stronger. Every secret text, every hidden kiss, every night I lay awake wondering how long I could keep living two lives. Andrea spoke up again, her words directed at my father. Sir, with all due respect, Simone is not property to be traded for a merger. She is a brilliant lawyer, a kind soul, who deserves to be happy, and I have stood by her through every doubt, every fear. She has confided in me the toll this secrecy has taken on her health, her happiness. My sister, my jumped in, her face flushed. I knew something was off. Simone, you stopped talking about your dates, you avoided family trips. But I never thought it was this, you lied to all of us, how can we trust you now? The betrayal in her voice stung because Maya and I had always been close. She was the one who covered for me when I snuck out to see Andrea, the one who listened to my late night confessions. But now even she felt like an enemy, the family line drawn clearly. My father slammed his hand on the table. Enough, this ends now. Andrea, you have caused enough damage. Leave before I make you regret coming here. We have doctors in the community who can help Simone if she is confused, but this nonsense stops tonight. Andrea laughed bitterly, a sound full of years of frustration. Confused? She is not confused, she knows exactly who she is, and who she loves. You are the ones forcing her into a box that does not fit. I felt the tears burning my eyes, the internal war reaching a fever pitch, part of me screaming to defend Andrea, to tell them all how she had saved me from the emptiness, how her love had given me the courage to fight for my career, to stand up in courtrooms when no one else believed in me. But the other part, the daughter who had watched her parents work 16-hour days to build this life, the one who had promised her dying grandmother she would honor the family above all, that part kept me silent, frozen between two worlds. The conversation dragged on for what felt like hours, my aunts sharing stories of other girls who had strayed and returned to the fold, my uncles questioning Andrea's intentions, suggesting she was after money or status. I watched Andrea absorb every insult, her posture never wavering, her hand still holding the folder, like a lifeline, the same papers we had signed in a quiet moment of hope, thinking we could present them later, when the time was right. But the time had come too soon. And the cost was already mounting, the looks of disappointment, the whispers of shame, the way my mother avoided my eyes, as if I had already died to her. By the time the clock struck 11, the initial shock had settled into a tense standoff, my father demanding I choose right, then my mother begging me to think of the future grandchildren, the family name. Andrea turned to me again, her voice soft, now just for me. Simone, I will wait outside if you need space. But I will not leave this house without you, or without you telling them the truth about us. I nodded numbly, watching her walk to the patio door, the cool night air rushing in, as she stepped out, leaving me alone with the storm I had created. The silence that followed was heavier than the shouting, my family looking at me with a mix of pity and anger, waiting for the daughter they thought they knew to return. I sat down, my hands shaking as memories flooded back. The first time Andrea told me she loved me under the stars on a beach in Malibu, the way she had held me when my mother was diagnosed, the promises we made to face whatever came together. But facing it meant losing them, and I was not sure I was strong enough, yet the price felt too high, too final. The night stretched on, conversations circling back to duty and honor, to the sacrifices my parents had made so I could stand here in this beautiful home with every opportunity they never had. I listened to every word, feeling each one like a stone added to the pile on my chest, wondering how many more I could carry before I broke completely. Andrea waited outside, patient as always, but I knew her patience had limits. This was her stand, her way of saying she would not hide anymore, and neither should I. The decision loomed larger with every passing minute, the kind that reshapes entire lives, the kind that leaves scars on everyone involved. I stood up finally, my voice barely a whisper when I spoke. I need air, I need to think. But inside I knew thinking would not change the fact that tomorrow was supposed to be my wedding day, and tonight had already changed everything forever. I slipped out to the patio where Andrea waited under the string lights, her arms crossed against the chill, her face a mask of determination mixed with the hurt I had caused by hesitating. We talked in hushed tones, the same way we had for years, stealing moments away from prying eyes, but this time the stakes were higher, the family just inside the glass doors watching every gesture. She reminded me of the nights we spent planning our future, the small apartment. We dreamed of the trips we would take, the life we would build without apology. I confessed the fear that had kept me silent, the nightmares about my parents turning their backs, the guilt over the business deal that hinged on my marriage to David, the way my father had looked at me when he announced the engagement, like I was finally doing something right. Andrea took my hands, her touch grounding me in the chaos. Simone, you have spent your whole life making everyone else happy. When is it your turn to be happy? The papers in that folder are real. We can walk away tonight, start over, just us. The idea tempted me so strongly I almost said yes right then, but then I heard my mother's voice calling from inside. Simone, come back in, we need to talk this through as a family. Back inside, the arguments had shifted, my father now focusing on the legal implications, demanding to see the papers, threatening to have them invalidated, claiming duress, or whatever it took to protect the family name. My mother pulled me aside, her eyes red from crying. Do you know what this will do to your father? His health is not good after the heart scare last year. And the community will talk, they will say we failed as parents, raised a daughter who does not respect tradition. I felt the guilt twist like a knife, because I did respect them, I loved them deeply, but I also loved Andrea in a way that felt like breathing, like the only real thing in my carefully constructed life. My sister cornered me later, her voice low and urgent. Simone, I covered for you so many times, I thought you would come to your senses, but this is too far. If you go through with this, you will lose more than just dad and mom, the whole extended family will cut ties. You know how it works in our circle. Her words hit hard, because Mai had been my confidant once, sharing her own secrets about dating outside the culture, but now she stood firmly on the other side, the line of loyalty drawn by blood and expectation. Andrea re-entered the room uninvited, her presence reigniting the tension. She addressed the group calmly. I understand your concerns. I come from a similar background. My own parents struggled with my choices, but forcing Simone into a marriage she does not want will only breed resentment and pain in the end. My uncle scoffed. Pain? What about the pain she is causing us? The shame, the lost opportunities. The debate raged on late into the night, voices overlapping, stories of other families who had faced similar rebellions, some ending in reconciliation, some in permanent rifts. I sat there listening to it all, my mind replaying every moment with Andrea. The laughter, the arguments, the quiet mornings where we simply existed together without the weight of the world. The internal conflict tore at me, the daughter who owed everything to her parents versus the woman who had found her true self in Andrea's arms, the lawyer who fought for justice in court but could not fight for her own heart. By 2 a.m, exhaustion had set in, but no resolution, the family insisting I sleep on it, promising to handle the wedding details as if nothing had changed. Andrea left reluctantly after a final private moment in the hallway, where she whispered, I will be at the hotel 2 blocks away, call me when you are ready to choose us, I love you no matter what. I watched her go, the door closing behind her like a chapter ending, and I climbed the stairs to my old bedroom, the one filled with trophies and photos of a life that no longer fit. Lying in the dark, I stared at the ceiling, replaying the evening, the shock on my father's face, the tears on my mother's, the defiance in Andrea's stance. The price of choosing love seemed insurmountable, the lost relationships, the financial independence I had built tied to the family firm, the social standing that had opened doors for my career. But the price of choosing duty felt even worse, a lifetime of quiet desperation, pretending with David, building a family on a foundation of lies. Sleep came in fits and starts, filled with dreams of walking down the aisle to David, but seeing Andrea's face in the crowd, her eyes asking why. Morning arrived too soon, the house stirring with preparations, my mother knocking softly to discuss the dress alterations as if the night had been a bad dream. I dressed in silence, the internal battle still raging, knowing that today would force the choice I had avoided for years, the one that would define who I was, and what I was willing to sacrifice. The family gathered again for breakfast, the air thick with unspoken words, my father avoiding my eyes, my sister shooting me warning glances. Andrea had not called yet, giving me space, but I felt her presence like a beacon pulling me toward the truth. The hours ticked by, the wedding rehearsal scheduled for afternoon, the venue already set, the guests arriving from across the state. I knew I could not go through with it the way things stood, the papers in my drawer upstairs burning a hole in my conscience, the love for Andrea demanding to be acknowledged. When the doorbell rang again that afternoon, I knew it was not a delivery or a relative, it was Andrea returning for the final stand, and this time I would have to meet her head-on with the family watching every move. The tension built like a storm ready to break, the kind that changes landscapes forever, the kind that leaves no one untouched. I walked to the door, my hand on the knob, heart pounding with the weight of the decision that would either free me or break me completely. Andrea stood on the doorstep, her eyes determined, the folder still in her grip, but this time the family was prepared, my father blocking the entrance, his voice booming, "You are not welcome here, we have called security if you do not leave." But Andrea did not flinch, she looked past him straight to me. "Simone, I gave you the night to think, now tell them the truth or I will." The living room filled once more with relatives who had stayed over or returned, the air electric with anticipation and dread. I stepped forward, my voice finally finding strength after hours of silence. "Andrea is right, we have been together for years, I love her. And I cannot marry David, it would be a lie that destroys everyone in the end." The words hung in the air like smoke, my mother's gasp cutting through the silence, my father's face contorting in disbelief. "This is not possible, Simone, you are confused, this woman has brainwashed you." Andrea held up the papers, the official seal visible. "These are legal, we filed them in good faith. Simone chose this path with me because she deserves to live authentically." Accusations flew, my uncle calling it a phase, my aunt questioning if Andrea came from a good family, my sister demanding how long I had been lying to their faces. I defended us as best I could, describing the depth of our bond, the way Andrea had supported my career through late nights, the way we had navigated holidays separately aching for each other, the way our love had survived every obstacle except this one, the family itself. The confrontation intensified, my father threatening to disown me if I continued this nonsense, my mother pleading on her knees, literally grabbing my hands. "Simone, think of me, your mother, who carried you, who sacrificed her youth for your future. Do not throw it away for this." The guilt nearly broke me seeing her like that, the woman who had fought cancer with grace now broken by my truth, but Andrea's hand on my shoulder steadied me, reminding me silently that my happiness mattered too. Hours passed in heated exchanges, the family revealing their own prejudices, the subtle homophobia they had hidden behind cultural respectability, the fears of what the community would say at temple gatherings, at business meetings. Andrea stood her ground, countering every point with logic and love, sharing stories of other couples who had faced the same and emerged stronger, of the life we could have if only they gave us a chance. I felt myself shifting inch by inch from defense to offense, telling my father that the business would survive without the merger, that my career was mine, not a bargaining chip, that love was not a weakness, but the strongest thing I had. The betrayals within the family surfaced, my cousin admitting she had suspected and told my parents months ago, thinking she was helping, the pain of that revelation cutting deep, because family was supposed to protect, not expose. Andrea comforted me quietly amid the chaos, her presence a lifeline in the storm we had created together. As evening fell, the arguments exhausted us all, my father finally sitting down defeated, but not yielding. "We will cancel the wedding, but you are no longer my daughter if you choose this path." My mother sobbed openly, the sound tearing at my soul, but I held Andrea's hand publicly for the first time in this house, the gesture feeling both liberating and devastating. We left together that night, the door closing behind us on the life I had known, the car ride to her hotel silent but charged with the enormity of what we had done. In the room we talked for hours, processing the confrontations, the words that could never be taken back, the sacrifices already made, my career potentially in jeopardy, my family ties severed. Andrea held me as I cried, the release of years of hiding mixing with the fear of the unknown, but also the joy of finally being seen. The next days brought the fallout, phone calls from relatives pleading or condemning, messages from David expressing confusion, and hurt, the news spreading through the community like wildfire. I faced it all with Andrea by my side, her strength bolstering mine as we navigated the practicalities, canceling vendors, returning gifts, explaining to colleagues. The internal awakening began slowly, the realization that I had been living for others' approval for so long that choosing myself felt foreign but right. Yet the price was real, the empty seat at family dinners, the holidays that would now be just us, the looks of pity or disgust from former friends. Andrea and I leaned on each other, rebuilding our bond in the open, the small moments of domestic life feeling precious after so much secrecy. But the drama was not over, the family reached out with one last attempt at reconciliation, A meeting at a neutral cafe where tears flowed and accusations lingered but no true understanding emerged. I left that meeting knowing the rift might never fully heal, the cost of my choice etched into every interaction. Through it all, Andrea remained my rock, her love unwavering despite the chaos. She had helped unleash the decision we made together. The stand we took that night becoming the foundation of our new life. The weeks turned into months, the healing slow and painful, but real, the lessons about authenticity, about the true meaning of family, about the prices we all pay for the lives we choose, sinking deep into my soul. I had paid with relationships and security but gained a freedom I never knew possible, the kind that comes from living without masks, the kind that lets you breathe fully for the first time. The hospital call came 3 months later, my mother's voice weak on the line. "Simone, please come, your father had another scare, the doctors say it is serious." I drove there with Andrea beside me, the tension thick, because this was the first time we had returned to the family orbit since that night. The waiting room felt familiar yet alien, my relatives gathered in clusters, shooting glances at us, some nodding curtly, others turning away. My mother hugged me tightly, her embrace filled with unspoken regret and lingering pain, Andrea standing respectfully back, giving us space. We sat through the night talking in fragments, my mother admitting the arranged marriage had been more about control than love, her own youth stolen by similar expectations, my father in the bed next door recovering but silent toward me. Andrea fetched coffee and food, her quiet support a reminder of why we had fought so hard, the moral dilemma returning full force. Was my choice worth this pain? Was my awakening selfish if it risked my parents' health? Conversations with my sister revealed her own struggles, my confessing she had envied my courage, but feared the same isolation, the family prejudice running deeper than I knew, affecting cousins and friends in subtle ways. The crisis passed, my father stabilized, but the reconciliation remained fragile, talks of forgiveness, mixed with conditions about keeping our relationship private, about not flaunting it at gatherings. Andrea and I discussed it late into the night, the compromise tempting but ultimately unacceptable because hiding again would undo everything we had gained. The public claim the stand we took had been about living openly, and we could not retreat now. Back in our shared apartment, we faced new challenges, my work at the firm suffering as clients pulled away, whispers of family drama affecting referrals, Andrea's photography gigs drying up in conservative circles, the financial strain adding another layer to the sacrifice. Yet we built routines, date nights without fear, weekend getaways where we could be us, the love deepening through the trials, the internal growth for both of us, learning to value our bond above external validation. A community event brought another confrontation, old family friends approaching with judgment or curiosity, forcing me to defend our choices publicly, the experience empowering yet exhausting. Andrea proposed we formalize our marriage properly, this time with a small ceremony, just close friends, the idea filling me with joy, but also dread knowing it would widen the rift further. We planned it carefully, simple and meaningful, the day arriving with clear skies and nervous excitement, my mother surprisingly showing up at the last minute, her presence a tentative bridge, the tears shared, a step toward healing, though my father stayed away, the wound still too fresh. The ceremony was beautiful, vows exchanged under an oak tree, promises of partnership through every storm, the price paid feeling worth it in that moment, the awakening complete. I was no longer the daughter hiding but the woman choosing her truth. Life continued with ups and downs, new clients won through integrity, Andrea's career taking off with authentic projects, the balance slowly returning. But the scars remained, holidays divided, phone calls strained, the societal prejudice, a constant undercurrent teaching us resilience and compassion. Through it all, the decisions we made that night, the confrontation, the claim, the choice shaped us into stronger versions of ourselves, the love we fought for becoming the anchor in uncertain seas. Years later, standing in our home with photos of our life together, the family slowly reintegrating in small ways, my mother visiting regularly, my father sending occasional messages, the healing incomplete but ongoing. Andrea and I had built the future we dreamed of, careers thriving, a circle of supportive friends, the sacrifices transformed into lessons about boundaries and self-worth. The night of the confrontation replayed in quiet moments, the shock, the pain, the courage it took to stand firm, the prices paid by everyone, my family losing the daughter they expected, I losing the security I knew, Andrea risking everything for love. Looking back, the choices felt inevitable, yet forever debated, the internal conflicts resolved, but the external ones lingering in community whispers and guarded family talks. We had awakened to a life of authenticity, but at the cost of relationships and comfort, the drama teaching us that love demands action and decisions carry weight. The family had evolved too, some accepting, others distancing, the social prejudices challenged in small ways by our persistence. Our story became one of quiet strength shared with others facing similar paths, the moral complexities, never fully black and white, the right and wrong shifting with perspective. As we celebrated another anniversary, Andrea holding me close, I reflected on the journey from that shocking night to this peaceful one, the claim she made, the stand we took, reshaping destinies. The experience left us wiser, more compassionate, the prices paid forging bonds unbreakable, the awakening a gift wrapped in hardship. In the end, the battle between duty and love had no easy victor, only the truth that each path demands its toll, and only the heart knows the cost worth bearing. Was Andrea right to force the confrontation and claim me publicly, or did her bold action selfishly shatter a family that might have found another way to accept us over time?